Selective attention, Luke chapter 15, 3 through 10. One of Jesus' well-known stories, parables, descriptions. Jesus told them this story: if a man has 100 sheep and one of them gets lost, what will he do? Won't he leave the 99 others in the wilderness and go to search for the one that is lost until he finds it? When he has found it, he will joyfully carry it home on his shoulders. When he arrives, he will call together his friends and neighbors, saying, "Rejoice with me, because I have found my lost sheep." In the same way, there is more joy in heaven over one lost sinner who repents and returns to God than over 99 others who are righteous and haven't strayed away. Or suppose a woman has 10 silver coins and loses one. Won't she light a lamp and sweep the entire house and search carefully until she finds it? And when she finds it, she will call in her friends, neighbors, and say, "Rejoice with me, because I have found my lost coin." In the same way, there is joy in the presence of God's angels when even one sinner repents. Selective attention. Title of my sermon today: both the man and the woman in our text today showed selective attention, which could, in our lives, be either a good or a bad thing depending on the circumstance or depending on the object of the attention. It could be a bad thing. Here you go. Ready for this? It could be a bad thing when your selective attention is actually selective listening attention. Like with your significant other, you have selective listening. Anybody ever have selective listening or selective attention? Yeah. You know what? You hear what you want to hear. Yeah, Frank's waving back there. He's saying, "Yep, that's me." You hear what you want to hear, or more notably, you do not hear what you don't want to hear. No one, I'm sure, has ever done anything like that here at all. But actually, in terms of, there's other kinds of selective attentions too, all kinds of different ways you can have selective attention. Having recently moved out of my house several months ago, I have found myself living out of boxes and bins for the most part here, way too much than I should be. And inevitably, you need something that's in a box or a bin. Where is it? I don't know where it is. It's in one of them. It's in like maybe the orange or the green one. I have no idea, but it's there somewhere, I think, and I should have labeled things better. But, there's a lot of things in there, so I don't really know. So, say for example, I'm working on my bike or something like that, and I need to find a specific tool or a piece of hardware, and this item that I need is in a bin full of such things, okay? Full of all kinds of things. And this is what happens to me, ready? I don't know why I'm telling you this, but I am. This is what I go on the hunt for it in the bin. I'm like, I'm sure it's in this bin. So I'm on the hunt. Here I go, and I'm rummaging through, and of course and I'm looking, and then I start digging, but a curious thing happens at that moment in time when I'm digging through the bin looking for one specific thing, trying to have selective attention on one specific thing. A curious thing happens. My mind, this mind right here, which was so attuned to finding that one particular object that I was hunting for, suddenly gets lost in the sea of things all in the bin. Does this ever happen to you? So my mind, I'm instead of being laser focused on my quarry, I wind up getting lost in all of the other items within my vision. I look at them all, and then I notice them all individually, and I say, "Oh, that's that. Oh, that's where this is. Oh," and pretty soon, I have no idea what I'm looking for, because I've looked at everything else in the bin. I've completely forgotten what it is that I'm looking for, and I have to step back and get away from it and think, okay, now I was over here, I was going to do this, and then I wanted, what did I want? I can't remember, scratch my head. This is my dilemma. So, Is this a short attention span problem? I don't know. Maybe it's my own personal ADD. Or maybe it's, you know what it is? It's not ADD. It's AARP. That's what it is in my life right now. This is what's happening to me, right? Instead of 3 letters, it's 4 letters now. Over 50 years old and all that. Anyway. Oh, boy. I'm one of those types. I'm quickly distracted. It's probably just those of us who are IQ challenged. But hey, at least we're easily entertained. We become cheap dates if we're easily distracted. So there is a good thing about it. But selective attention is hard for some of us. Selective attention is very hard because life is always coming at you like this. It's coming at you over here. It's coming at you over here. And we're receiving this continuous barrage of sensory information from all around. And it comes to us through hearing and sight and smell, touch, and taste. And actually, according to an educational consultant named Kendra Sherry, she says that most people have an ability to focus on what they choose to focus on. Most people do, but I don't really. But I'm going to go with her word on that most people do. While other things blend into the background or slip by unnoticed, she says that most people can actually do this. And admittedly, I can once in a while. The idea, though, is how do we decide what to focus on and what to ignore? Well, this is part of what is known as selective attention. And, of course, preachers up here behind the pulpit want you to practice selective attention every Sunday in church, right? So you selectively have your attention on what we're saying up here for the half an hour that we do preach or however long it might be. Well, in the Gospel of Luke that we read today, Jesus tells parables in which a man and a woman practice selective attention as they search for the lost sheep and the lost coin. And apparently there are a couple of different methods of selective attention. So listen to these methods of selective attention and let me know which one fits you best, okay? They're methods. There's the spotlight model, the big spotlight, shining in on something, and there's the zoom lens model. So which one are you? I'm going to describe them both. So you tell me which one you are, and I'll have you raise your hands in a bit. So we'll first talk about the spotlight model of selective attention. So in this model, your vision, your visual attention is like a spotlight, okay? It enables things to be seen clearly where the light is, like where the spotlight is spotlighting on. You can see very clearly what's in that section, but, on the fringe of that beam of light, and of course, outside of that margin of light, very little is seen. It's all there. It's all within your field of view, but you cannot see very much of it because all you have is your spotlight of attention focused on one little area, effectively darkening everything else out in your range of view. So the woman in the parable who lost her coin, I think she uses the spotlight model. She has 10 coins, and she loses one of them, and she lights a lamp, but that's not really a spotlight. But what she does is she sweeps the whole house and searches carefully with like her proverbial spotlight until she finds that thing that she's looking for, that lost coin. And finally she finds it. And it lights up the rest of her world again. And she calls everybody together. In verse 9, she calls them all together and she says, "Rejoice with me because I found my lost coin." That's the spotlight model of selective attention. Anybody here have the spotlight model? What do you think? You have that? Maybe. Well, I'll talk about the next one here. It's called the zoom lens model. The zoom, those big zoom lenses you have on those nice cameras and stuff. Well, in the zoom lens model of selective attention, visual attention is like a zoom lens on a camera. And when you zoom in on your camera, have you ever seen this or done this on your camera? You can do it on your phone too. You just do this like this thing when you're taking pictures. You zoom in. And what happens when you zoom in, everything else doesn't go dark around it. What happens is all other things completely fall out of your view of sight entirely. They're not even there anymore. It's not that they're in a dark periphery around your spotlight. When you zoom in on something, they're not even there. You hone right in on something, and everything else is gone from your field of view. This is something we can do. We can zoom close on an item of interest, but we lose sight of other things all around there. So the man with the lost sheep uses the zoom lens model. The man with the lost sheep loses the zoom lens model. So most days, he's like has a panoramic picture going and looking at all of his 100 sheep to make sure that they're all safe and sound. But when one sheep becomes lost, he zooms in on that one sheep, completely loses sight of every other sheep in the herd, all 99, and looks just at that one sheep. His entire world consists only of that one lost sheep. That is selective attention, which again is a good or a bad thing, right? Watching over 99 sheep, in our opinion, if you ask me, shouldn't he still be watching the 99 sheep? I mean, shouldn't he be focused more on that 99 sheep and trying to get the one that's lost? But he's got 99 sheep that he's responsible for. And if he completely forgets about them and only looks at the one, what's going to happen to the 99? They might all go running off and get in trouble somewhere, or some predator might come. It's like in life, our own lives. It's always a good idea to keep an eye out in all areas of our lives so that we can keep everything in our lives in check and on track. And if we spotlight on one thing in our lives, or if we zoom lens in one area, the rest of our lives, if you're like me at least, tends to go to pot or to fall into disarray. Sort of like the workaholic that neglects family and health, and that's not good for a balanced life. So you might ask, is selective attention even a good thing at all? I mean, should we have such a thing as selective attention? Maybe it doesn't seem so great at all, because we tend to neglect things. But I think Jesus would say otherwise. Jesus clearly wants us to participate and to practice selective attention. Remember his words? We don't have the scripture for it, but you know this. Seek first the kingdom of God and its righteousness, and then what? All things will be added unto you from God. Selective attention, seek first. Attention first on the kingdom of God and his righteousness. Shine your spotlight on God's kingdom. Zoom in on following Jesus, and all the peripheral stuff will be added to you by God. It's like me digging through that bin, digging and digging through that bin and getting way off track, looking at all the other things, all the extraneous stuff in life. It's like I'm digging through the bin of my life, getting distracted here, there, and everywhere, and we get way off track in our spiritual lives too if we don't have that selective, focused spotlight attention on Jesus. Do you have that in your life? Do you have that attention, focused and spotlighting on Jesus in your life? What are you zooming in on? What is occupying your whole field of vision? Are you focusing on things that keep you tuned into God? Or are you thoroughly distracted by the stuff and the doodads in life's junk drawer that we sift through? We would all do well to refocus our vision and retrain our spotlight on Jesus. And it starts every morning of every day. Especially after the last few years that we've all had of pandemics and politics and problems. If there's ever a time where we are distracted in every way, looking at everything and its brother, the time is now. If there's ever a moment when we need to refocus and zoom in and spotlight back on the thing that is most important, the time is now. You know, the news says this, the president said that, the CDC has this to say, market analysts have that to say, world leaders all chime in with their input, commentators are in no shortage everywhere trying to give their opinion. Boy, it's just like moving through that bin. You know, I'm looking at everything else, forgetting what I'm here for, forgetting why I'm even here. After getting so distracted with all this chaos, it's easy to come to the point where we don't know even what we're supposed to be focused on. You know, what is it that I need to know? What should I believe is right and wrong? What is good for me to focus on in this world, and what just simply causes me harm? We need selective attention on God through our spirits. After all, this is what God does to us, which is actually what our text is all about today. It's not really about us, in the sense that it's not an instruction for us to necessarily do what the man and the woman do in our text today. The man and the woman in our text today are symbolic of God. The God who is searching for what or who is lost. Blacking out all else, zooming in on the one in need, God is searching for who is lost. That's what our text is saying today. And when that one person is lost, verse 10, there is joy in the presence of God's angels. When even one sinner repents, or in another way, there'll be more joy in heaven over one sinner who repents than over the 99 righteous persons that don't need repenting. God is laser focused on you. God is zoomed in on you. You say, whoa, that's not good. Yeah, that's you're making me nervous here, Pat. I mean, I don't want God to just be focused on me. That's scary. He's going to see right through me. You know, I need Him. I need God in my life. But He's going to see right through me if He looks that closely at me. He's going to see all my faults and all my flaws and all my shortcomings, and He's not going to like what He sees. And if He doesn't like what He sees, is He going to be there for me? Or is He going to look away? Well, I've got some good news for you. Everyone here today. Everyone watching with us, participating through Facebook today, and whenever you're tuning in, whenever you're watching and listening to this, I've got some good news for you. God already knows all of those things in your life anyways. You're not hiding anything from Him. Nothing is news to God. He knows everything about you, and the good news is that He loves you like crazy. He loves you like crazy. And He is reaching out to you right now. You are that precious lost coin. You are that valuable sheep. He's reaching out to you now just because you are you, just as you are. Jesus is all about the spotlight and the zoom lens. How many here spotlight on things? How many here zoom lens and nothing else is part of your world except what you're focusing on? Well, God can do both. And His spotlight and His zoom lens is on us. All heaven rejoices when we come to Him. All the angels in heaven rejoice when we say, God, I see you seeing me, and I need you, and I'm so glad you're here to rescue me. Take my life. Have it. All heaven rejoices when that happens. And heaven still rejoices even when one person believes and is set free. Heaven is ready to rejoice over you. Heaven is just prepared for that party. It's got the celebration ready to go for you. Because there's joy in the presence of God's angels when even one person says, yes, God, yes. It's not as if we're trying to escape from prison, though. And, those large spotlights in the prisons there, you see them in the movies sometimes. Someone's trying to escape in the nighttime. They got the big spotlights out looking all around for that person. And the guards are going to drag us back into our jail cell. That's not the way it is with God. It's not God looking to drag us back into prison. Thank goodness. And it's not as if we're hiding from detection, from God, but the big eye in the sky can zoom in like a modern satellite and read our license plate and find us and rat us out. And here you are, I found you finally, now you're going to pay. That's not how it is with God. It's not about conviction, and it's not about punishment. This is about rescue. This is about rescuing the endangered and finding the lost. Finding and rescuing the one. One sinner. The one coin. One sheep. One you. This is what it's all about. Put the spotlight on the one coin, says Jesus, not the 9 others. Zoom in on the one sheep, God does, not the 99 that are already with him. Such attention might not seem sensible in our lives, but it's central to the ministry and to the mission of Jesus. And we rejoice with Jesus every time someone is found. Because Jesus wants us to love everyone just as he does. But it's in our lives, after God sees us and finds us and rescues us, he challenges us as the 99, if you will, to focus our selective attention on the lost coins and the lost sheep in our worlds. He pushes us to go looking for those lost sheep and those lost coins. And whenever we do this, whenever we reach out to others, we are reaching out with God's hand to them, welcoming them back into God's fold. When we do this, we become part of a heavenly party, a heavenly celebration in which everyone can rejoice and celebrate together. I was reading a story, such a fantastic story, and I think it's true. I think it's true. It was a little while back. Something happened. Philip Yancey was a minister, an author, Christian author. He tells of a certain couple who had planned a lavish wedding reception. They were getting married, and they planned this huge reception, and they booked a banquet room in the elegant Hyatt Hotel in downtown Boston. And they made the required down payment. They threw their money down, half of the reception cost, down on the table. But it was not very long before the prospective groom had a change of heart. He found it hard to commit. And so he said to his fiancée, he asked her if they could put the wedding on hold. And you know what that means. Yeah, on hold means on permanent holds. Is what it really meant. And she knew that's what he meant. And that he didn't really want to think about the wedding, really. He just wanted out. So after a very unpleasant scene, they parted company for good. That was it. It was all over. That was the end. One of the bride-to-be, no longer, one of her next stops was to the office of the events manager at the Hyatt Hotel in Boston. And the manager said she was sorry, but most of the deposit was non-refundable. Well, the former bride-to-be had only two options. She could either forfeit the rest of her down payment or go ahead with the party. He said, go ahead with the party. She's not getting married. Why is she going to have a party? Well, as Philip Yancey tells it, he says, it seemed crazy. But the more the jilted bride thought about it, the more she liked the idea of going ahead with the party. Not a wedding banquet, really, mind you, but a big blowout. You see, 10 years before that day, 10 years before, that same woman had been living in a homeless shelter. She's on the streets, living in homeless shelters. She got back on her feet. She found a good job. And she set aside a sizable nest egg. And now she had this wild notion of using her savings to treat all of the other down and out people in Boston to a night at a party. She's like, I get this idea. I know these people. I just know where they're coming from, and my spotlight is on them. I'm focused on these people because I've been there. And I know they're lost, and I know they need to be found. And so it was. You can imagine what this was like. This is a real story. And so it was on that June evening at the Hyatt in downtown Boston, a party went on, such as it had never seen before. This is funny. The no longer bride-to-be, she changed the menu to boneless chicken in honor of the ex-groom. And she sent invitations to rescue missions and homeless shelters. And that warm summer night, people who are used to peeling cold pizza off of pizza boxes, cardboard pizza boxes, that warm night and then gnawing the pizza, they dined on chicken cordon bleu. They ate this, and they were together, and the Hyatt waiters were in tuxedos, and they served them hors d'oeuvres, and they served it to senior citizens propped up by crutches and aluminum walkers. They served it to bag ladies and vagrants and addicts, and they took a night off from the streets, a night off from the hard life on the sidewalks outside, and instead they gathered and ate chocolate wedding cake and danced to big band melodies late into the night. We are all vagrants and homeless people. We are all lost on the streets in this world until God finds us. God is searching for you. And He's got an invitation for you. And it's a celebration for you. And you are invited, along with the angels and all of the saints before. And the God's party that He has is meant for you. Accept the invitation. To God, you are the guest of honor. Not because of anything you've done, and certainly not because of anything you haven't done, but just because you are you. God loves the you that is you. Let Him rescue you too. Can you bow with me for a word of prayer?